Alright, it's time to put a roof on this thing. We got us an outhouse with no roof. If it rains and we're in there, that's not going to be a good thing. So, I know I talked about wanting to put a cedar shake roof on there, but it was so expensive, I figured I'd have to put it on 3-tab. And so, I was looking at 3-tab, and, you know, it just wasn't cutting it. I just don't like it. And I was talking to my neighbor, John, and he had access to some cedar shake bolts that were left over from some other project or something, and he was able to get them for me for a reasonable price. And he happened to also have a shake fro. So let me show you how to make shakes, because we got some bolts and we're going to make some shakes, and we're going to have a shake roof on the outhouse just like it should, just like the model did. So come on, let's take a look. Let's go look at all this stuff and equipment and make us a roof. Some of my family members, this is what they did for a living. I'd hear stories about it all the time when I was a kid. You know, they'd tell me, you got to do this and you got to do that in order to split a good shake. And I never got to try it because it was a dying trade, you know.
The logging or the mill?
The shake mills. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had a shake. I helped take one of the last shake mills in Woodinville apart, and it was an affair where they had what do you call it? It looked like a potato slicer. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. A board with the offset blade on it that you'd run potatoes across. It looked like that, only they'd take these shake bolts and have a ram that shove it across. You flip it around, shove it across. What's that?
Just to clean the bolts up.
No, that's to make the shakes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was basically a air-operated shake fro.
Oh.
And they made many board feet of shake that way.
Old Jake Rachel'd be proud of that pro if he was here.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Made him plenty of money. You know, a lot of these old fros were made out of car springs.
That could be too. I don't know if it's...
What they'd do is they'd take a car spring and they'd straighten it out. They'd heat it up and hammer it and straighten it out. And then they'd take this end here, and there's the pointed end of an anvil. They heat this up cherry red and they'd hammer it around, and you can see all the hammer marks. And they just hammer it around that point, so it had a tapered hole like it does. And then at the big end of the taper, they'd grind this thing down to a blade, and then they'd dunk it in cold water, and they'd have a fro. Then they'd make a handle like this here that's too big at this end to go through the hole, but small enough at this end to go through the hole with a nice comfortable grip. And you just slide it up in there, and it just forms itself to the fro just fine. You just go like that. It's all set down in there. See, just like that. And you can see this one here, somebody was using a sledgehammer on it right here, how it's all folded over here. Somebody's beating on it with a metal hammer. You don't want to do that. No. That's why I'm using the mallet, the wooden mallet. It beats the crap out of that wooden mallet, but it saves the fro for another day. because these are a whole lot harder to make than a wooden mallet.
Oh, yeah.
You just give yourself about a 1/2 inch to or so, and you just start it going. Pound it down, then you pull it towards yourself so the bottom of the froe pushes out, and it goes splits, and then you push down and you do it again. That pops loose. Then you flip the bolt over, because you don't want this to get out of control, this corrugation here. You don't want that to get out of control, and if you always split from the same end, it will. It'll go nuts on you, and they'll make them unusable. So you just clean up the edge each time. Now a really good bolt won't have any of that, and everything will be nice and straight, and that's nice in a perfect world. But we don't live in a perfect world. And every once in a while these will get too thin at this end right here. See that? And they'll split open. But that's alright, because that can fit up under the other, because you're only going to have about 10 inches of shake showing, and the rest of this will be underneath, and it won't matter a hill of beans.